Da-da.
So the reason we're late is something happened to Steve and he left, and so I had to have a moment to cry my Diet Coke or Coke Zero. Oh, I'm so happy again.
Todd showed up. That's no.
Oh, Todd booted.
I didn't. I never saw him. I hit that little button that says log in up at the top. Don't do that while you're on a stream.
Uh, Lag, it is too early in the morning for you to actually come up with something to talk about. That is
I
not your
did see
role
that though.
in this show and all the shows you're in. That's not your role to be informative. You are just a distraction. Um, it's about time, FTC. So if you read Lag's comment, I don't think he spells suing right, but that would be like our buddy Seuss is suing. She's going to an estate sale. She's suing her way at the estate sale. Yes.
Nobody ever said lag is bright.
Yes. But I I've talked about this over and over and in person. And anybody who wanted to listen, that the high price alerts is price setting. Um, they do everything, you know, to provide a marketplace. Amazon, they do everything in their power to limit your ability to sell.
Price fixing, you mean?
Yes, with price fixing, with suppressing the buy box, all these things, because they're like that. So I live in a middle class neighborhood. It's mixed everything, but they are like the snooty people up on the mountain who think that everything they do and everything you should adhere to it because they said it. We're allowing you to come here, so you need to do this. We think that you should not be doing this. You have broke our rules. We are keeping your shit. I mean, this is Amazon for you, and I got a feeling that that's probably going to be wrapped up in there too, because how they've gotten away with stealing people's money because you broke my rules, and then keeping a balance and keeping inventory and destroying inventory and all the evil stuff that Amazon does. Um,
I just hope that it's. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I like this or not, but
I,
will they even address the price fixing thing? Sort
well,
of.
like I said, that's one of the complaints with the FTC is.
Wasn't able to read the complaint yet.
So I will do some research and maybe make a video.
Yeah, hogging the buy box I get, but the price fixing thing is the
Let's make
biggest
it.
issue for us. Because we can't make the money that we want to make because they limit the price we can sell it for based on whatever their algorithm tells us.
It is some sense of morality, which is the damnedest thing. Amazon is out there in the liberal West where morality is allowing you to shit in the street, to burn down buildings and to make your own little cities by stealing other people's stuff. They sit out there all high and mighty in that morality area and tell you that, oh my God, capitalism is so bad. If a customer wants to pay $10 for an item, you're only allowed to sell it for $8 because we think that it should be $8. I mean,
what they're really doing is holding back items from customers that want to buy them. Because if you have to sell that item for $8, where are you going to sell it? Not on Amazon.
so
because you can't afford to.
Here's another good one. Where's my little thing at? Right here. We'll make a video about this one probably today too. So I sold this right here on Amazon, and as you can see, the fucking customer, they opened it, they sealed it with Scotch tape, and they stuck a label on it and shipped it back like this. This thing was pristine, brand new. They haven't made these in years. Look at the box now. On top of being open, every corner's banged up because it went through the postal service. So I submitted for a claim on this to get some kind of money back for it. The submitted claim was $41. That's what this thing sold for. What did Amazon grant me back for their wonderful customer? No, they granted it
Really?
$7. $7 fucking dollars. 7.
That's probably more than you paid for it.
No, I paid. I think I paid 9.
Or less. I meant less than you paid for it as well.
But you have no recourse against just stupid. The customer's reason for return, order by mistake. They ordered it by mistake, but they opened it, they sealed it with Scotch tape, and they determined that my merchandise was not worth. I put all this in the thing that my merchandise was not worth a damn. After they had opened it, I'm scared. I didn't even look at the disc. The disc I probably got somebody's old disc in there, and then they sent it back without a box. So they have destroyed my stuff intentionally, because anybody who has shipped anything knows that if you send it without a box, it's going to get destroyed. So don't tell me this wasn't intentional.
That thing didn't even retail for $7 when it was new. I bet you.
Yeah, no, it did. It was
probably in the $20 or $30 range. I'm guessing.
It was about the same. I saw it for about this. Somebody returned. I get that all the time. If you want to see something scary about what Amazon thinks about you as a seller, go to a UPS store in the afternoon and look on their back counter or wherever they put everything and all the returns that they're having to figure out how to box and ship back, because the customer brings it in a Ziploc bag and a ticket and gives it to UPS and walks away. Just go stand there for about 20 minutes.
And that is completely true too, because when I was doing DoorDash, I was picking up Amazon returns, and they don't give you anything, just a return, the item, and a piece of paper that says, has a QR code or a barcode on it. And then they take it, they scan that QR code or barcode, and it goes on the shelf. And then they got to box it. And they probably aren't boxing it very good. They're probably just putting it in a padded envelope. The last thing I took back was a phone case. Yeah. Same with Kohl's. In fact, I think they advertise it that way. You don't have to have a box. Bring it back however it is. Yeah, David, that's probably what they do, is just polybag most of it, if it'll fit in a polybag. As a business, I would do it too if I had a big business like that. I guarantee UPS isn't making much money off those Amazon returns, nor is Kohl's.
You know how difficult it is to mow the grass and do a live show at the same time? This is talent right here.
I mean, man, you're good.
I know. I'm using the force.
I'm not good enough yet. I have to mow the grass after the show, before.
Mow the grass, and all the grass is going. Ooh, we're getting mowed.
You go out, the grass will be fine, and it's our mentalism.
And so this show really. So the title of the show is the one thing you can change in your eBay business. The one thing here's the warning I got for you. As it gets worse and worse on Amazon, you're going to encounter people like me. And I told you last week, we talked about it last week. So what's the difference? Why should you be leery of encountering someone like me? I've been in the Amazon world. I understand how to use their systems. The one thing Amazon teaches you is you've really got to treat this as a business. You've got to they change your mindset, take emotions out of it, and they teach you better fucking compete. Because if you don't compete, you lose. I mean, whether it's figuring out how to price, so you run repricers, you do all these things to compete. And I don't think that an eBay seller's idea of competing has been, up until the last 4 or 5 months, is I listed 5 items today. I listed 10 items today. My sales should be here. I list every day. That's the mindset of an eBay person. And then now that in the last 4 or 5 months, that the stuff that hasn't sold, that is already sold, and they go, well, I'm still listing my 4 or 5 items or 6 items, 10 items a day. That's what Chris told me to do. I'll pay him $30 a month for him to tell me to list. And I don't understand. I haven't sold nothing. I went to the bins today. I got some mall clothes. I listed them all. I bought some antiques. I bought some cassette tapes. Why is this? It sold one time. I looked on Worth Point. It sold in 2014. Surely it'll sell today if I buy it for 30 cents. That's the mindset that you're.
Let me answer this question real quick. Chris is a fictional character.
Yes, Chris. Chris is a historical figure because Chris used to sell on eBay, and now he just tells you how to sell on eBay Actually, I've heard he does sell on eBay again.
Fictionally, of course.
And this is nothing against Chris. He's I've talked to him several times in person or on the phone. He's a nice guy. He has helped a lot of people by telling them, with their motivation and getting them to take this more seriously, and a lot of things he teaches. But that's just the first thing that came to my mind.
I don't know. I think it goes back to you're doing the same thing you did 10 years ago. You're probably doing it wrong because you're not learning. You're not engaging.
And so the one thing you've got to change is you've got to change your mindset. You've got to treat this as a business. Even if you're a hobby seller, you have to have have all the fun you want to. Go to yard sales, go to the thrift store, make sure you do all the fun stuff. But when it comes to functioning in this business, if you don't treat it like a business, you are not. What's up, old lady? You are.
I like that Wyatt Earth's comment. Pete Rose still knows a lot about baseball. Just because somebody knows a lot doesn't mean that's the best person you should take advice from.
Black said he's Chris's burner account. Well, that's interesting. So it's Chris Lynn, by the way, if you don't know, Daily Refinement.
10K.
There are a lot of people that swear by what he teaches because he really, for the biggest thing from what I've heard, he really teaches accountability. And that is a lot to do with business. So, not all things are bad. Just you love him or hate him. I don't know if I have an opinion one way or the other. That just somebody's different way of saying things. How many people out there go, damn, that bearded picker sucks. It just happens. Tom does it all the time, and I still talk to him like 4 times a week.
Oh, God, Scott. You're like the Kardashians. You've always got some freaking drama going on. Keeping up with the beard.
I don't have any drama. So what does... Okay, so on Tom's show, I had a great rant yesterday. If y'all missed Tom's show yesterday, man, are you not following the Queen City Picker? He does what, Tuesday, Thursday, and Todd up top does Monday, Friday, and I do Wednesday. So between the three of us, you get a show 5 days a week. That's dedicated to you folks right there. And so a lot of Tuesdays I pop on Tom's show. Thursdays sometimes. But the rant yesterday was this. Sell through is king. Sell through right now, from whatever thing we can see, is eBay is treating sell through because that's what Amazon has done. Is if items that sell are what gets promoted, even if AI is a little broken and the search is a little broken, the more generic your search is, you're going to find items that eBay, Amazon as well, thinks. So that's what they're going to serve you. And so, everybody goes, well, let's just start selling high sell through items. And now you've seen some people complaining, well, I bought some high resale items and they're not selling through. And I sit there and think it's because you don't thoroughly think this through as a business. As a business, that your answer to buying an item is, well, it sells too fast, I should buy it. Whereas Harlan and I talk about this a lot. Harlan's probably listening somewhere in between seeing all his ladies and talking to his ladies this morning. He's probably listening to us. I'm like, man, that's a good. That sales pretty good. He'll pick up something. I'm like, that's got a pretty good price on eBay, and it's got a pretty high sell through. And he'll look at it and go, his first thing he looks at it and go, yeah, but 70 of them is sold in the last 90 days, and there's 200 of them for sale right now. He's like, there's 9 months supply right now, and I don't want to hold this for 9 months. It's going to the auction. I'll get a good price at the auction. And so how many people stop and look at it and go, before they click on the solds or the completeds, and see how many the search brought back? Did the search, if it brought back 100 items and 20 have sold in the last 90 days on your completeds and solds, that's 5 times 3 months. That is 15 months of supplies out there. Okay, so people look at they'll look at the high sell-through rate and pick out the high selling item. So this item, it sold for $100. It's only worth $80, but somebody got $100. So now I've got this high price item that I saw sold one time for $100. I'm putting it at $100, and I'm gonna leave it at 100. And damn, I listened to the beard. I bought the high sell through stuff, and it hadn't sold. I don't understand why. When you run into the beard, if I picked it up and I saw that it sold at 80, and I'm gonna dynamic rate promote this because you're only gonna promote it at 2% because I'm not giving eBay another dime. I want them to work for me, but I'm not giving them another dime because there's a playing field out there, and whether you're a ball boy or you're up at bat, you know. Casey struck out, but he wasn't giving you fucking water, right? he at least he had a swing at the damn ball. So if you're, so now you're running into the beard who is coming off Amazon, who has got an $80 price that he sees, and he's probably gonna throw it in there for 75. I'm a dynamic promote it +1, and you're gonna go, and I'm gonna tell you the high sell through items sell because I'm competing because I picked it up for $5 at a yard sale, and I'm happy with making $45 on it. I'm not gonna wait for the 60. And you're gonna sit around and bitch on in the comment section going, "Oh my God, I can't believe eBay's broken." There's more to, you've got to analyze this as this is a business. You've got to get the whole picture, take all the information you are given, and understand how much supply is out there, how fast it sells, what's the actual price, what do you have to do to actually get this damn thing to sell, what price is it realistically going to sell at, and what's the realistic profit at your cost, and the realistic profit, does it meet, do you even have any goals and rules about what you do? If it ain't $20, I'm not picking it up for eBay. If it profits like $20, if you sell enough $17 items, I can tell you what's going to happen. You're going to go broke. And so, how much of that do people think about? None. They're listing their shirts from Land's End, wondering why the hell they ain't selling because I listed 5 a day, and that's always worked. That's what you got to change, folks. You've got to compete. You've got to be analytical and business minded. You got to take the emotion out. You got to take the way I used to do it out, and really analyze the situation and understand whether you should buy items or not, and what items you should be buying. There you go. There's my speech. Lag said he's G minus the green Kia.
I don't have a green Kia.
Yeah, Steve doesn't have a green Kia. That's so
I have an orange Kia. I have an orange Kia. My wife has a green Kia.
That's so Marshall.
I used to have a green Kia.
Did you call them before you went to pick up your new car and tell them to please hide all the green ones that you really didn't want to green?
No, but I told my wife there is no way in hell I'm getting another green one. No way in hell. Because I didn't like being that cutesy couple with matching whatever, right? No.
You really don't want to go outside drunk or stoned and not know which car's yours and which car's hers.
Oh, I'd figure it out. I don't have the keys to hers.
Y'all don't wear couple shirts?
Hell no.
I was stupid.
Unless you told me to, then I would.
Yeah, Mike. So Mike says Taylor's Place. Buying for eBay without looking at sell-through is like buying for Amazon without looking at the sales. And okay, so why do I tell you that Amazon trains you to compete and be better? Because if you know what the sales rank is, that's just a beginning point. Good sales rank, bad sales rank. You still got to know how many sellers are on the listing. Go through Keepa and find out how many of each one do they have. You want to know, look at Keepa to see the historical price. Look at some of these others to tell you how much they estimate that it sells per month. I mean, there is a lot of analytical thought that you need to go through in 15, 20 seconds, 30 seconds that you've done enough times you can figure this stuff out pretty quick. eBay isn't easier for me to look at through the app and figure out pretty quick. But basically just looking and scanning a product and a completed real quick to figure out. You only need a couple numbers and some quick math. I know math is hard. But
it is.
But math. Like I said, I'm basically Chris minus the good looks, the great business, and the YouTube channel.
Yeah. Aren't we all?
So lag. So let me sum this up for you, for everybody else. If you are sensitive, please, there are children in the room, please put your fingers in your kids' ears. Basically, lag, you're saying you're what ran down lag's daddy's leg. That's what you are. There you go.
But yeah, I was watching a couple of Lindy Glenn videos lately.
It's
Yeah,
crazy, isn't it?
She's underwater in that
and
brick
fighting like
and
hell
mortar.
just to break even right now.
She's underwater and what?
And that brick and mortar thing she was doing. She is.
I mean, she just got hit with a lot of things at a short period of time.
She said she's just hanging on now
that?
until the lease is complete. She has to pay for her 10 months of lease.
Jen fixed 20 minutes late. What's the one thing? The one thing is make sure you
show up on time.
Make sure you hit the thumbs up button, and we accept all super chats. So that's it right there.
So even if you sell $1 million worth of stuff, she says she's up to 1,400,000. She's still in the red.
Jen fix. We're talking about changing. You've got to have a business mindset and what that means, and how that changes the way you think about and analyze items. It's really, you've got to change. You know, the one thing I can tell you, as eBay models itself, and this is why, as eBay models itself to be Amazon, to be Amazon's little brother, stepsister, or whatever you want to call eBay is going to be, and they try to chase the way Amazon, because they want to be sued by the FTC too. So you got to understand that you need more. It's not just touchy feely anymore. You've got to do some analysis. I mean, it takes. The worst thing that the eBay has going for it, other than the fact that they're not reaching a younger generation, that's their fault. But there's no barrier to entry, and so anybody can start this business, which is a beautiful thing and a curse, because you don't understand what you don't know until you start, and you need to. But most people don't have enough time to get started and learn, and they don't want to fail, for one thing, and when they fail, they quit. You know, y'all understand that, right? You don't lose, you don't fail. Lindsay Glenn has not failed yet because she's not quit. Once you quit is when it's over. That's when you lose. Until then, you fight like hell. You learn, you improve yourself, you improve your products, you do everything you can to hang on and to fight and to win.
She's doing it right though. She's changed her business model. She's doing everything she can to try to figure out how to make this more successful.
Because the one thing I'll tell you, if you want to study in history, go look at George Washington, and not what the people in Washington State tell you about George Washington, that he was a slave owner and he was a this and he was a that. George Washington led a ragtag group of folks that founded this nation and fought like hell. They lost damn near every battle they were ever in, but they won the war. And that's the way you've got to look at business. There's going to be, you're going to step on shrapnel, you're going to step on all kinds of shit on your way. But if you're not tough enough to fight through this and understand that you're competing against folks like the people on the panel and the people in the chat, this wonderful chat that this show has, we've all made mistakes. None of us have quit. Even Steve has not quit. He's just taking a temporary pause.
Well, I'm still selling.
Yeah, so it's not. I'm telling you right now, and toughen up, Buttercups. What I'm telling you, that businesses, if small business and this kind of stuff was easy, everybody would do it. It's not. It's not for the faint of heart.
You talk about Lindsay and her brick and mortar store. We have a mall that's up on the north side of Charlotte called North Lake, and it's up there where the NASCAR people live, and
right.
A lot of money is up there. They're having so many legal issues right now because the little rogues are walking around and causing problems for the shoppers and whatnot. So people are not shopping up there. So they've got the owners of the mall and about 5 major retailers have got lawsuits against each other because these retailers are just shutting the doors, and they still got a lease going on.
It's tough all over, folks.
And the thing about it is there's been a couple of major, what do you call them, core tenants, and that have pulled out, and these malls usually have and shopping centers in general usually has a clause in it that says if so many of the core tenants leave, then they can get out of their lease. So,
Anchor store, I think is what they call it.
Anchor store. That's it, Steve. That's good. And that's happening a lot around the Carolinas. That these core tenants or these anchor tenants are pulling out because people are not shopping at the malls anymore.
It's weird because our mall is now the mall in the town closest to where I live in is dead. It's been dead for many years. But the mall over in Erie, bustling. So I don't understand why it's really good in one area. What are they doing right when all these other malls are failing, doing something wrong?
So Larry, last week's show was limited availability monetization. I don't know what I said last week. Did I say anything bad last week? I thought last week was pretty normal, pretty tame. I didn't remember. I didn't say don't get the poison and all that stuff. But the one thing I would tell you is Klaus Schwab wrote a nice little book called The Great Reset. And in the book, The Great Reset, I mentioned this on Josh's show yesterday, and I was shocked that he read the comment for one thing. I'll give him a lot of credit for that. Josh Galt, by the way, if you don't know, he does a show most days, Monday through Friday. He skipped Monday with family, and that's a great decision. You've only got one family, and your children are very important. But understand that the powers that be, the people that control this world and this country that we live in, and until you accept the fact that it is controlled, there is a geriatric old fart who can't put a sentence together, who supposedly got 81 million votes.
Here we go.
Limited monetization starts
right now.
If he got 81 million votes, I'm not even gonna go there. It would be some ugly stuff I was about to say.
I don't think he's getting 81 million this time around.
But in this book, they tell you that you're not gonna own anything. And so what's one of the biggest vehicles to building wealth in the United States and owning stuff? It's small business. Small business has driven this country for decades and decades. Small business, these people who have decided, you know what, I'm going to do it my way. I'm going to figure out a way to earn a living that benefits my area, my country, my whatever, and has made a living doing it. Tom can tell you stories over and over about his father and the struggles that he went through in the surveying business, but he made a good living and made it his way, taught his son to do the same thing. So that is one thing they want to eliminate. They hate us. They hate people. Everybody in this chat, anybody who watches this show, you got to realize, no matter what side of the aisle, you could have voted for Joe Biden, and that's perfectly fine. Vote for that dumbass. But understand that they still hate you too. Because you have the mindset that you will start a small business and you can do it on your own, they hate your fucking guts. Understand that. And so in the business climate we're in right now, it's not a surprise that when the current administration came in, who is controlled by the powers that be, did everything they could to slow down the economy and run that light at the end of the tunnel, that we're all running towards. It's a fucking train right now that we're all going to get run over unless something happens. And until you understand that these companies are all the same way. You think Amazon, as they kick people off, as they run Russell Brand off the internet because he had the audacity to say the same thing I'm saying, that they're demonetizing him everywhere. They are trying to take subscribers away from Rumble because Rumble gave them the big finger. The powers that be don't think they control it. They decide there's too many small businesses on Amazon. You don't think that they make this more difficult? There's a reason why Amazon steals all the money from sellers when they decide they broke and nobody does a damn. If you think the FTC is going to do anything to Amazon, I will kiss your ass today. It's a feel good story. Oh, big Amazon, the FTC. Remember who controls the FTC? These are the same people who gave Amazon all of our money to build their infrastructure, and Amazon was supposed to allow other companies to use this infrastructure, and Amazon went, yeah, well, fuck y'all. This is us. We did this all. if you believe the story that Bezos built Amazon from a bookseller in his garage, man, do I have some beachfront property in Missouri to tell you.
By the way, the views expressed on this show are of the
100% the truth.
channel owner.
But I'm telling you, so why do I tell you all this? Why do I rant on all this? To tell you that life is hard, your reselling business is going to be hard. If you're not tough enough to see the entire, you need to do a SWOT analysis. Here, what's the SWOT analysis? I've heard this from the first business class I ever took. Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And if you don't put the federal government as a threat against your business, they told you right now, they lied. Imagine that they lied. These 87,000 agents we're going to hire for the IRS are not going to come after for audits. We need them for this and that. Yesterday they announced that millionaires and billionaires and all this stuff, that they were making task force out of these new hires to go after the audits on these people. In 6 weeks, they're going to lower that number down. Remember, the income tax was supposed to be no more than 10%, 1%, 2%. Whenever they rolled out income tax, they sold it as, it'll never go higher than this.
You said SWOT, right?
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be SWOT?
No, SWOT.
SWOT?
I follow. You're talking about Rumble. I follow a couple of gamers who are ultra liberal, but they are over on Rumble because they got slammed by YouTube for some of their language.
It's yeah.
And so they're over on. They're supporting Rumble whether they believe in the free speech or anything like that, and they're bringing a lot of viewers over to Rumble. Just because YouTube shut them down.
So read Charles Taylor's statement right here, and then go watch Josh's show yesterday, as Josh kind of alludes to the fact that when he's answering my question about, he talks about the business climate in Canada and he talks about there's companies that are trying to liquidate inventory to pay the government. They were forced to shut down. This country too. They were forced to shut down. They took loans for COVID, and now they're in debt to their eyeballs to the government, because they were doing everything they could to survive without closing the doors, and so they were fighting. And now, the government. I was reading something today. The government by the end of this decade is on track to own 30% of the land in the U.S. It really make you think when you go back and read the Declaration of Independence. And if you can't understand what the men and women of this early country were facing when they looked across the pond and saw King George or whoever it was at the time and gave him the big finger, folks, it ain't gonna be civil war like the Civil War of the war. It's gonna be us versus the government. I'm telling you right, and don't tell me Joe Biden's bullshit about the government's got nuclear weapons, because the military leans way right, and they see the same shit we see. How many pilots you think that have lost their careers? All these military people lost their careers because they were forced to take a shot that destroyed their health. You think there's one person in the military who can't look at the statistics because they track the military and all the disease and everything that's gone crazy over the last 2 years. You think there's a military person alive right now who doesn't know people whose lives have been destroyed because of this crazy shit the government's forced on us? You are kidding yourself. So do your SWOT analysis. Understand what the threats are. The threats are outside as well as inside. It's crazy. The world we live in is crazy. So political. Hard life is political. Sorry, buddy. You can only stick your head in the sand for so long before. Because I don't think there's going to be an election next year. Sorry, just don't think there's going to be. They're going to start a war. We're already at war with Russia. They're going to start more of a war so they can act the War Powers Act and don't have to have an election. You mark my words.
Honey Scott's on his
Where do I write this down?
Election next year.
Somebody write it. If I'm wrong, I'll apologize on November 5th or 6th, whatever it is.
Roberta's like preaches, Scott. She believes it too.
Timothy, my wife is doing Walmart deliveries right now, so her sales have been quite a ways down. But she's not listing right
my
now.
My sales are not hurt on eBay. In the last 90 days, I have sold more than I sold all of last year on eBay.
I can tell you one thing though, my wife's sales still outperform my sales, even though she's not listing, and I'm not listing either. But
so she got better stuff.
It must be. She comes at it at a different approach than I do. So,
but it's not an accident. I don't do anything special. I go to yard sales. I go to thrift stores. I sell the stuff that I've always bought because oh, Beard, you got 2 storage buildings full of crap because I've always bought smart stuff that people are going to be in demand. Older electronics and electronics people want. But it's cameras. I've got 2 or 3 cameras to send out today. One of them's broken. I sold it as for parts. Got $50 for parts.
No. The answer is no. She doesn't want to be on.
But if you don't think Walmart, even since y'all been doing that, they've made your lives more difficult, and they've changed.
Oh yeah,
they've
changed it from 2 deliveries to 3 deliveries per trip.
Yeah, they do that because it was easier on you and you made more money and all that stuff. They do that.
Your income will go up by 10%
as it went down by 20.
Well, you're doing, even if it does go up by 10%, you're getting 33% more work for a 10% pay increase. Walmart is. I mean, if you think of it that way.
John Jones said his social credit score went down 3 points. Yeah, mine's negative, John. Sorry.
Mine's negative just by being here every week.
You've got to take all this into consideration. Where's the country? And why does politics matter? Because you've got to understand that I talked some of the numbers last week. That's probably what it got me was I explained to people that we are worse off than they were in the Great Depression. The average U.S. family is way worse off. That's probably what got me last week. And so how does that affect you? How does knowing that the fact that the family is worse off than it was in the Great Depression affects what you sell? It should tell you right now that it's going to be hard as hell to sell an antique. Do you need a dresser that look like grandma's, or do you need some beans and rice because your family can't eat? Or do you selling food is a good thing online, or do you do I have parts for? I bought a KitchenAid blender last week. Paid $4 at a estate sale. The second day it's sitting there. I'm like, $4. Okay, I'll take it. It's KitchenAid. I'll take it. I didn't look it up. Imagine that. It's worth $64. You can sell the picture for like 40. The whole thing together 68. Separate you can get like 84. They need the blender. They don't need grandma's dresser. They broke the picture on their blender. They don't want to spend that KitchenAid is $100 and something new. They would rather buy a used one or buy a replacement pitcher or a replacement handle, a spindle, whatever. I'm telling you, times are changing and consumer demand is changing about what they need and what they want. And as a reseller, are you providing to these people or?
But it's always, if you think about it, go back and I saw an article in the local Facebook page, not an article, but a picture of an old business that used to be here, an upholstery shop. Well, who uses upholstery shops anymore? Nobody, right? And then if you dig deeper, there was this little shop here and that little shop there. They're all gone. Why? Because we have giants like Amazon and Walmart, and there's very few local businesses like that anymore.
Well,
there's
a few.
Very few.
People buy disposable now. People buy disposable now. I mean, today's our trash pickup. I cut through a neighborhood just to see what people had out on the way out, and it's all this broken furniture. People don't buy buy substantial pieces of furniture. They don't have stuff reupholstered. My mom's got a set of she's got a couch and 2 chairs that she bought back in the early 60s, because I was probably about 5 or 6, and she's had it covered twice because the guy that does the furniture, the upholstery work on it, has said, don't ever get rid of this furniture. If you don't like the color of it, have it stripped and re-stained and put a different color fabric on it, because the thing just keeps on, it just doesn't wear out. It's heavy furniture.
So read Bobby's thrift. Bobby loves the thrift up there. You can't do whatnot in Ohio without an auction out.
Technically, yes, unless it's your own personal items.
But understand this: the government has figured out very quickly that it in order to tax you and call it a tax, they must have it approved through Congress, and really that means it has to be approved by the people for the most part. Well, if you believe that, I believe that the Congress is placed there no matter who we vote for. So, but if they call it a fee, they don't need anybody's approval. It's just a fee. A fee is another word for tax. But until you understand that and figure out how much you are taxed and what we pay.
I have to say, for the auction thing in Ohio, the auctioneer lobby in Ohio is huge, and they are a very powerful group of guys, and they're the ones who got this pushed through. And I get it from their side of things.
Who gives the government this authority, folks? Go to the Constitution. Go to everywhere. They only are allowed to do this because we allow them to get away with this.
Absolutely.
And the enumerated powers in the Constitution, running an auction in the state of Ohio, selling. It talks about interstate commerce. That's it. It doesn't. Your state government and the crap that. I mean, just think about how this has been set up. And how they've bastardized, go from the early stages of what the country was to where it is now, and how they've everything has been designed to take every bit of money. I have a question for you, and I've not figured out the answer to this other than it's to enslave you. If the government's answer to everything, Ukraine needs another $5 billion. We're just going to print some more. Why do they need me to pay taxes if they're just going to print more money? Why do any of us pay taxes if the answer to anything is just print more money? It's to control you. That's the only answer I can come up with.
Do you remember the eBay stores people had? I mean, we had like 2 in Charlotte. It's where people you could walk in with your items and they would sell it on eBay.
I almost opened one of those back in the day.
Well, we had one out here. And the auctioneers people shut them down real fast, because they were auctioning without a license. I mean, they did not, because I knew I had met the guy, I knew his face, and I happened to run into him at Staples, and I said, "What'd you close your store for?" And he said, "I didn't do it before because I wanted to. I had a good business going." But
I'm going to look at that because they say in Ohio it's not as hard to get an auction license now, because it used to be extremely hard.
Yeah, you had to get an auction in school and stuff. I have a son.
So I need to look into it.
I have a son that would be a good auctioneer.
My dad was actually an auctioneer back in the day, so I get it from that side of things why they want to
people like that make me, it's unions and people like that make me want to vomit, because their answer to anything is, in the state of Ohio, the answer is, there is a new thing coming. Should we embrace the online auction? Should we should learn a new skill and understand that we can reach a bigger audience and do things? No, let's use the power of government and the threat of a gun to put them out of business, because we can control competition by forcing regulations and rules on people. I understand that's what the government does to you. That's what they do to make your life more difficult and to suppress the economy of this country. Is they just roll out regulations. Go look at what Joe signed into law in the first 2 or 3 days versus he killed the gas pipeline that would have kept us energy independent, folks. Understand, did that help anybody in this country? Your gas prices are up. I took a picture when Trump left office. Gas was $1.89 here. After the election, it's 3.30.
Ours was 347 yesterday, but it was 353 the day before.
How many of you, as your dollar has lost buying power,
PA is still 399.
Understand why you've got to compete as a reseller, because the loaf of bread costs 50% more. Go just all you husbands that never go grocery shopping and wonder how your wife or significant other, all you husbands who have husbands and don't do the grocery shopping. I don't care who you are, how you live. Go to the grocery store and buy the same amount and realize what kind of money you're spending, and then wonder, well, eBay's not showing my stuff up in search. I don't know why I'm not selling stuff. Whenever Joe Public just went to Walmart to the grocery store and spent a fortune, spent an extra $50, $60, $70 on the same stuff they bought 6 months ago. We discount the economy way too much in this, folks. The economy is a strong part of why your sales are terrible.
Scott, do you get a 1099 from the auction company?
Yes.
You do?
They legally would have to give you one, I would guess.
I don't need it because I run everything through a business account.
Well, I know that, but I didn't know whether they gave you a 1099.
And every month I get the same question from Jared. What's this deposit? Auction sales. It's tough all over, and until you toughen up and understand that for every dollar you want to sell on eBay, you are fighting against the economy. You're fighting against inflation. Until you take it that serious, where till you start to not be able to put food on your table, you're not going to win at this game. You've got to understand all this stuff and where everything goes and what happens.
If it keeps on, a can of pork and beans will be worth more than a damn Gucci bag.
I don't like pork and beans.
Okay, pinto beans.
I don't like pinto beans. Oh, I hate lima beans.
I'm just saying.
Lima beans, I don't know how anybody can eat that slime.
When you're hungry enough, you'll eat anything. Remember that, Steve.
Not lima beans.
Oh, yeah. But that's why I ran about all this stuff, because I see the big picture, and I want you guys to see it. I don't care if you see it from the opposite point of view that I see it. You've got to understand, no matter how, if you are the world's biggest Joe Biden supporter, I don't know how you made it through my rants, but man, you've got to be one tough son of a bitch. Understand that no matter who you support, look at what inflation is kicking your ass too.
That's undeniable. That is undeniable.
Inflation doesn't care. The price of gas and listen, all you folks out there, Amy Lee, this is coming because you live in a state, and I don't mean to really call you out, Amy Lee, because you're one of the few people I know that drives a Tesla. Anybody see the news yesterday about what the states of Oregon and Washington our laws are passing, and what Michigan is coming up with next? So how do we fund roads? How do we fund road repairs for the most part?
Allegedly through taxes.
Allegedly through gas taxes. And so you never pay for gas with a Tesla. State of Oregon, state of Washington goes, these are some heavy vehicles. They're tearing up our roads just as bad as any other car, no matter how wonderful we think they are. And so they are going to put a GPS force them to require GPS trackers in every vehicle that's reportable to the federal government with your ID, or for the state governments with your ID, because they're going to charge you per mile tax driven.
That's an invasion of privacy. I can't imagine that'll stand.
It's coming. It's coming. They've already passed. Oregon and Washington have already passed the laws. You, as an electric vehicle.
That's going to go to the Supreme Court, and hopefully it has to.
It's a use tax.
That's an invasion of privacy.
There's no difference between it and a gas tax. It's a use tax.
Yeah, they can't track your gas. You can't track where you go.
Well, they track it at the pumps.
Yeah, they track how many gallons.
What they're going to have to do is they're just going to have to say, you're going to have to. You're going to have to do your inspections on a car anyway. In North Carolina, we have inspections on vehicles. You're going to have to go in there. You're going to have to go in there and do, instead of doing the exhaust emissions test on it, they will be pulling your
So
odometer.
if I have misspoke about Chris, and then I apologize. If they do explain sell through, etc., I'll eat those words. So doing it wrong says that Chris and Tech both do that. If they do, now he'd be one of the very few.
He's a good motivational speaker. I'll give him
so the one thing I would tell you about these, Steve, they can't track you.
I didn't say they couldn't. You got a cell phone you carry with you all the time.
I know if you're talking on a cell phone, that they know everywhere you go. They listen to everything you say and know every text you sent and every email you've read. And we now get upset that they're going to track the miles.
It's not the mileage that they're tracking; it's tracking your activity, and that's what becomes an invasion of privacy. And I hope somebody eventually takes that to the Supreme
Okay,
Court.
so here's an iPhone. Let's break down this iPhone. In the coming 4 to 6 weeks, Apple this is the new one, by the way. Apple is going to introduce something called the Daily Journal. They're already in the works. They've already announced and what does it do? Conveniently, it's going to help you journal your days. It's going to put all your how many phone calls and everything, so you can look on a day and go, I sent these texts, I sent these phone calls. Where do you think they get this data? You think that you're going to be the only one that can access the data of what you do every fucking day? And they're going to sell it. They're going to sell it to the world as a journal. There are plenty of people out there who want to be able to look back at a day and go, try to remember what they did. When did I do this? When did I do that? They're going to sell it to you as a.
I am quickly, by the way, becoming anti-iPhone, and it's because of the forced things they make you. I upgraded to 17 on my phone, and now my notification sounds, I can't hear them.
They deleted the one that was there. Most people, and you got to go assign a different one that's louder.
How do I do it? Because I can't change individual notification sounds. But anyway, that's just one of the small things that they've done. There's a lot of things that iPhone, when I have CarPlay on, they won't let me play any notifications because safety. But yet their notifications come through. Like iMessage and that thing.
We could not afford cell phones and talk on them like we do if it wasn't for the data collection off of it, because that's where they make their money off of it. They don't make their money off of the little bit that you pay each month for service. They make their money off of selling data. So
Tactical Z says, but didn't the iPhone get a new charging jack or something? They were USB-C, and that's the reason why I got the 15. That was ultimately because I'm going to make more videos with the phone and most likely sell the big camera back here. And so, what's the difference? If you're going full blast on this thing with full res and everything, it's saving 5 gig a minute for a video is 5 gig on full res. USB 2.0 and Lightning are the same thing. I shot a video the other day that was 12 minutes long. It was 30 something minutes to get that thing downloaded to my computer. And I'm like, this is ridiculous when USB-C is 20 times faster. So the USB-C will do 10 gig a minute or something. And so that's 2 minutes of video. So it would have downloaded it. This phone would have downloaded the same video in 6. And so that's the reason. And I was taking a chance. It scans better. It does scan better. It'll scan barcodes. Not as good as the real old phones, but it's probably 80% better of all the barcodes I've been scanning.
My 12 does barcodes just fine.
I miss the days when you could get in your car, and according to my youngest son, I still do it without having to have a telephone strapped to me. You could get in the car and it'd be peace and quiet except the music that you're listening to, and
I don't.
Now everybody's got a phone with them.
That's called
every place they go.
If I miss those days at all, I'll jump in the Volkswagen and take a little ride. But I don't miss them because I'm a gig economy worker. I have to have the phone. I love listening to podcasts in the car, which you couldn't do in the old days unless you turned on AM radio and had to listen to whatever was on. So I enjoy having the technology, but I also have to understand that comes with certain things that I might not like.
Mike, planned obsolescence is not a conspiracy.
Scott,
I've planned my own obsolescence.
Scott should have a morning talk show on the radio because he's a lot more fun than listening to these people that are 100 years old that act like they're 20 years old. You know,
I mumble too bad. I don't have a voice for radio, so there you go. That's not going to happen.
Well, a lot of these people don't. You can tweak that. You can turn up the knobs a little bit and deepen your voice and whatnot.
This voice is fine for radio.
It's just.
I got a face for radio, though. I've always been told that, so there you go. And then you wouldn't see this luscious beard that I'm growing back out.
So yeah, I was a DJ in college, so I had a little radio.
Everybody likes looking at Scott.
Did you play like soul music at night? The luscious.
I played the hits, man. No, I was a Christian radio station.
The luscious right of soul and the
KECC was the call letters. A shortwave AM station, so it only reached the campus.
So is anybody in the chat? Anybody in the chat going to be in Cincinnati other than Tamara? I know you're going to be there.
KECC Evangel College Radio.
That was good.
I feel a lot better now that I've actually grown the beard out some. I didn't want to run into your husband again, his great beard, and not at least have a decent enough beard. So, other than anybody else going to be at the reseller rally in Cincinnati?
I'll be there in spirit, Scott, since it's in my state.
We're taking an extra day to get up there. Well, Johnny's added 30 minutes because she wants. There's no Buc-ee's between here and there, but there's a Buc-ee's out straight to the interstate.
They are putting one in Cincinnati, I heard, or near Cincinnati.
So we're going to Buc-ee's, and then we're going to head north.
Buc-ee's is invading this part of the country, from what I understand. So we'll get.
Last year he might be there. Yeah, I know, John. Flipping ain't easy. Him and Miss Flipping will both be there.
Okay.
I wish I could. I don't know any of those people, and I'd be uncomfortable hanging around with them.
He burned some of the beard on the maple, on the evaporator maple. Damn.
Maybe next year.
Yeah, so you got to take. See, you going to Athens to the Buc-ee's?
Yeah, out to Athens and then up.
Is that Alabama or Georgia?
Alabama. Athens, Alabama. It's on I-65. It's due west from here. Yeah, Dawn and Mary. Mary's gonna buy me a beer or something because I got you to sell a Sony video camera.
Dang, that's not bad at all, Scott.
I listed, but normally I kind of zigzag north to get to the interstate outside of Fayetteville, but it's going to add like 20 minutes. Well, Steve's not going to be there, so you don't even know Steve.
Yeah, I got to work that day.
So if anybody wants to find me, Two Hip Chicks, great YouTube channel. Those ladies are a lot of fun. So Mary and I are both introverts, so we will be sitting probably in a corner somewhere, hiding from all the regular people who, as people stare at me and look over there and go, I think that's the bearded picker. I don't know. And I'll never say a word to them, and then they'll never know.
Are you north of Huntsville, Scott?
Yeah, about 8 miles.
Meridianville or something like that?
Yep, Meridianville.
Can you get to Athens from Meridianville?
Yeah, we have to go over to 72 and over.
Yeah, I saw 72, but I was looking at Meridian. Because I was looking to see where Athens was, and it came up with Huntsville right beside it. And it's like, okay.
At least my weather says I'm in Meridianville.
I wish mine said I was in Morganton, but I'm not. I mean,
Cameron said she was going to get me a free drink during the free drink period, so that's good right there.
Are you Morganton, Ohio, or North Carolina?
North Carolina. That's where my wife's mother lives.
Well, you can always file for a visa. And
yeah, Laura lives over in Laura Russ lives over in Athens. So
I'll tell you, sometimes it feels like I live in a foreign country, living where I do. But
well, to enter North Carolina from above the Mason-Dixon line, you have to apply for a visa.
I'll do it.
Roman's in the chat. Roman, aren't you going to the reseller rally? Didn't you say you were going?
How far are you from Morganton, Tom?
I'm in Charlotte. That's about
Oh, not too bad.
Yeah. About an hour.
Yeah.
At 15 minutes.
Roman's going to
Unless
teach
Roberta's
English
driving,
lessons.
then it's about an hour.
Yeah, Roman's going to teach me English and how to drink vodka, I think.
When I'm down there, I spend a lot of time in Hickory, too. So I love Hickory.
Hickory's nice.
Yeah, I'm not really drinking because I am not going to have another hotel experience.
We got like 2 different conversations going on at the same time.
Where
you gonna do the rock star thing and not drink this trip?
Yeah, at eBay Open, security had to wake up Johnny at 3 a.m. We're not doing that again.
Yeah, we don't want security sitting outside of your hotel.
There's one regret I have in life.
What's that?
Not going 1 week earlier to Vegas to see that. That's the only regret I have in my entire life.
It was rough.
But legendary, from what I understand. I've had conversations with Barry about it.
Yeah, I think I still owe Barry for that one.
Get Scott on a cruise ship where he doesn't have to drive. All he's got to do is walk 400 feet to his cabin.
Oh my God,
he'd be out of control.
I get seasick on a little boats that run around the coast. There ain't no way.
You wouldn't get seasick on one of these. If you do, you are a big girl. Because these things don't. Unless it's. Now, Roberta and I went through Hurricane Dolly back in '95, I think it was, and it was a little rough.
No,
but normally you don't feel anything.
It is Michigan and Illinois, but not Kentucky, not Ohio. I think that's right.
Scott just behaves.
It's sad whenever I type in legal recreation weed by state is search pops up immediately. Is that terrible?
Yeah, I don't think it's legal in the state of Ohio yet. Not recreational.
They're working on it in North Carolina hard.
Medicinal it is.
You got to be very leery of people who try to legalize marijuana. Ohio legal status, it's been decriminalized and medicinal, yes, but not
recreational. No.
Other than Todd, I'm probably the oldest person in this chat, and
you're the oldest person on YouTube, I thought.
Shut up, Steve.
But the only good thing,
well, you open yourself up to things.
I know, but anyway, there was a reason we called heavy consumers of the weed dope heads because they were dumb as a box of bricks.
The way he talks, he's even old.
Well, that's just it.
Of the weed.
So when you get to Cincinnati, you can make a hard left
and
be in Illinois pretty quick. And I'm sure that little town, there's a decent sized city right across the line. I'm sure they've got stuff for Illinois.
If you don't have a dispensary right across the line, then something's wrong.
Yeah,
because that's going to be, that would be the best thing. So Ohio outlawed smoking in the bars many years ago, right? So the bars on the other side of the line in Pennsylvania started booming because you couldn't smoke and that was to protect the people who served you beer. But yet all the bars, this town used to have, I bet you 10 bars in this town. Now there's maybe 2, which is, I don't care because I don't drink, but they used to be all over the place. The moment that law passed,
so now we need some questions in the chat. Do we have any new people in the chat? Somebody would I didn't get all my rants out of the way. I didn't probably done limited monetization. We're just rolling this morning.
But Steve, when South Carolina had the lottery, the Powerball, and North Carolina didn't, along the South Carolina North Carolina border, which is a long ways.
I don't have
every road crossing into South Carolina had a damn convenience store selling lottery tickets.
Of course.
And fireworks.
Yeah, fireworks too.
It's like that here. What's the when you go north from Meridianville to Tennessee? What's the very first? Okay, so technically, what your definition of business is? The very first business that you come to, well, there's a church on the line. Whether you call that a business or not, the very next building is the lottery building, where all they do is sell lottery tickets. And then the convenience store that's right beside that one also has a lottery. Half the convenience store is lottery only. And then if you go up another half a mile, there's another gas station with a lottery building on it. So Alabama's still that way. You cross over into Tennessee, lottery.
And see, South Carolina had when the lottery gets really big, like what the Powerball's now, 800 million. Sales go crazy in South Carolina again because South Carolina has you don't have to disclose. I mean, when you go in to collect your money, you have to supply the documents, but you can tell them not to release your name or information, and it's locked up.
So
forever.
here, gas is 40 to 50 cents cheaper than it is on the other side of the state line. There's no gas stations on the other side of the state line here, because why would there be? You have to go quite a bit into Pennsylvania from Ohio to get to a gas station in most instances. And it's because people are just going to cross over the state line and get 50 cents off their gas immediately. And it's because Pennsylvania has one of the highest gas taxes in the states. But we're at $3.43 and they're over $3.99 across the state line. Who's stupid enough to get gas up there?
Lawrenceburg, Illinois has casinos, so I can't imagine if they're going to do casinos. You think it's a stretch that they don't have legalized weed?
Thank you, Texas. Even though if it might help my arthritis, I might try a vape or something like that.
All right, let's see. I said Lawrenceburg, not Lawrenceville.
Anytime Todd has that oil well in his backyard, he don't worry about reselling it. He just
pump out some more down.
Wholesales it.
My relatives have a cell tower on their property, and they get paid like $500 a month just to have that stupid thing there.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah, back in a day, we did back when they were sticking up cell towers everywhere. My brother's company, my dad's company, stayed real busy. All they doing is staking out those towers.
Sadie, Ohio wouldn't be the same if I went.
Also, I used to do construction. We worked for a couple.
Are you allowed?
A gas well, and the gas company actually used their gas well, so they got paid every month for the use of that gas well. They got paid handsomely.
Yes. So Timothy says that he's seeing lots of 33 DVDs going under 10 a few years ago, but now they're $1 each. $1 each is about the going price of what you can buy them for anywhere. Josh had a real interesting thing. We were talking yesterday about how many people are overpaying for stuff, and he had somebody in his chat that people that do liquidation, and the price of liquidation has skyrocketed. The pallets and stuff that people were buying. Go watch Lindy's videos. She'll tell you the same thing. The pallets have gotten way more expensive, and they've gotten shittier.
And that's across the board, because we have a bin store here, and it was the same problem.
And it's just not limited to the price increases. What do people think, that they're going to be paying more for bread and milk, and everything else is not going to go up at the same time, proportionally?
I don't see how Resell Rabbit does it. He goes. I think maybe because he attends live auctions for pallets.
Yeah, and one of them.
He's a smart fella.
I know one auction he does is online as well. I know some of the places he buys stuff.
Yeah, he's down in your neck of woods quite a bit for live auctions.
I mean, he makes a lot of money, doesn't he?
I don't know. Yeah.
What's
He didn't
He's
send me.
released. He's had YouTube videos on how much he makes.
But he's also had a store that didn't go over great too. I mean, he's already been through with Lindy Glenn. Don't miss that if you watch him in his videos. He tried to set up a retail space and it didn't work out.
I got to tell you about the bin store in our area. They opened less than a year ago, or maybe right around a year ago. I used to get a lot of stuff there, and then the quality just went down and it wasn't his fault. PJ's the guy's name. It wasn't his fault. It was the same problem that Lindy's facing with the quality of the pallets. Well, last week there was a fire in the store, so now he's totally out of business. The whole store was in loss. But that's what happens when you have a brick and mortar as opposed to an online store.
Electrical failure.
No, this guy's too good. He's too honest of him. He reminds me a lot of Lindy, except he's a guy. That kind of attitude. I'm going to keep going. He shut down the store for a week to make the floor safer and he wasn't. It wasn't a regulation that he had to do it. He just didn't like the way the floor was because there was a couple loose tiles. He redid the entire floor by himself because, so that's the kind of guy he is. He's not burning down his own store. Plus, it's attached to a Dollar General and a grocery store. It's in a strip mall. So he'd have to burn down the whole thing. But anyway, that's the problems you have when you have a real brick and mortar store is things that you have no idea.
Doing it wrong. I try to tie any of the political stuff back to your reselling environment. The one thing people miss is if you don't understand the political environment, you're destined to fail. You've got to understand, what's going on with the economy, what the causes are, where the direction of a country is going, what things are being proposed, how it's going to affect you. Look at the difference in 2016 and 2020. As we changed presidents, the economy for business got extremely good, and a lot of people made a lot of money from 16 to 20 under the new Republican president. Well, he's Republican in name only. I'm not. He's a 90s Democrat, but anyway, it felt like a Republican because of his policies from the previous administration. If you don't understand and prepare yourself and keep up with what's going on and what they're trying to do and the climate for business, you end up with a COVID loan you can't pay because the government shut you down. And
so glad I didn't take one of those.
Underwater and now with costs spiraling through the roof, with inflation, even though they continue to change the definition of inflation and definition of recession, you sit back and go, well, it's got to be eBay's fault. It's not all eBay's fault, folks. Anybody that tells you this whole mess is all eBay's fault is very short-sighted and narrow and doesn't understand the landscape of business. And what does eBay have a part in this? Absolutely. Have they fucked up their search? Absolutely. But is it the only reason why you're not getting sales? Absolutely not. And until you accept that fact and are smart enough to keep an eye on everything and realize it, you're just going to struggle. It's part of I talked about it earlier. It's part of a SWOT analysis. Part of the threats to your business is the government. Just is. The political environment is part of the threats to your business. Just is.
Regardless of political party.
Regardless of what side I don't care what side you promote.
So John Stossel, I don't know if you follow John Stossel. I love the guy.
Yeah, I watch John.
He's just very, he's part liberal, part conservative to me. I guess he calls himself a libertarian. But anyway, he did one the other day on a law that protects pregnant women at work. Really all it ever does in the end is make employers not want to hire women.
It does the opposite. It does the absolute opposite. And
because you have to give them a parking space close to the door. You have to accommodate bathroom time. They're allowed to take as much time as they need. You have to accommodate extra time off by law. Now, most of these companies do a lot of this stuff anyhow.
Yeah, I was about to say that. Most companies will do a lot of those things anyway. But when you put a gun to their head and say you must do this or else you lose everything.
And I don't know if that was a Republican or Democrat law. He didn't say. I'm just going by. It makes sense. When they passed the American with Disabilities Act, guess what happened? They stopped. A lot of companies stopped hiring disabled people because they had to accommodate all this stuff, and it cost them so much more money. And it has nothing to do with them not wanting hiring disabled people. It's just that they can't afford to anymore, and that's the same with it. So laws affect you regardless, and usually negatively.
Dustin says he went back to 1-day shipping on eBay, and my sales really picked up. So Dustin, let's put this in terms that people
you
who
changed something.
Let's look at this and put this, Dustin. You're competing. That's wonderful. Let's put this in terms that the people who just want to blame eBay eBay is trying to be Amazon, and they're trying to use the success of Amazon because they think it'll make them look better as shareholders if they sell more stuff because Amazon sells more stuff than eBay. So what's the one thing I get on Amazon, on eBay, I never get on Amazon? I get customers asking me, when's it going to ship? When am I going to get a tracking number? You never get that on Amazon because those customers are trained that they know it's going out quick. And it's rare. You don't buy a book like I did and get it 16, 17 days later from an eBay seller. And I got shipping within 24 hours of buying the book. I got a tracking number. 8 days later, they get it to the post office. Another 9 days later, I get it here. With 17 days, I take out one for the holiday. And so eBay will go, we'll reward you in search if you will ship faster. And so it's not a shock that if you put on there 1-day shipping or cut your handling days down, you will be rewarded in search. This is not an accident.
Everybody says, eBay's trying to be like Amazon, but did they really have a choice when it comes to things like that?
They don't have a choice because
they don't have a choice.
Some of the things they need to be like Amazon. They need to hold sellers a little more accountable.
Yeah.
They need to clean up the shipping for 100%. They've got a bad reputation for sellers shipping out super slow. The interesting thing that Amazon, I had a customer on Amazon ask me yesterday, what's my return policy? I'm like,
whatever Amazon says.
It's what Amazon's is because Amazon does not allow their sellers to have a return policy that is less than theirs. Do y'all understand that? That is a difference between eBay and Amazon. All you eBay sellers, I don't take returns. I don't buy from you. If you're not confident in your own ability to sell it and accurately describe a product and get it to me on time, and
what happened if an eBay
is to say I don't take returns.
If an eBay buyer asked that same question to some of these eBay sellers, they'd block them.
Yeah, they block them. They just asked me if I take returns. It's going to be a scam. It's going to come back.
Not. I want to know what the return policy is on everything I buy. And if you don't state it in your listing, I'm not buying from you. Because why would I? Tom doesn't know how to turn his microphone back on.
He's probably still talking to Roberta. Tech challenges, Tom, if you didn't know.
I am.
He's the worst computer person that does computers you've ever seen.
People, unless I'm ordering something really particular, I don't worry about what the return policy is because it's usually something that I want. And if it's broken when it gets here, it's that's a different thing. Or if it's not what it's described, that's a different thing. That's a reason to go back. Otherwise,
truth.
I'm buying stuff that I don't care.
Well, the reason you look at return policies, the reason I do, is not because I don't think I can return the item no matter what their policy is, because on eBay I can't. I just have to say not as described, if that's the truth. The problem with that is that seller is going to make it as hard as possible for me to do that. I want to know that the seller is going to make it an easy process.
But that seller is also the one who is telling you straight up front that they can't be trusted because they don't trust you.
Yeah.
And so why am I going to buy from them? And they'll be the one in the chat going, my sales suck. I don't understand.
They're going to be the one that fights it as long as possible, as long as eBay allows.
It's part of the business mindset, folks. I've talked. The one thing you've got to change is the way you see business. Whether you like it or not, if you are reselling on eBay or Amazon, whether you are a part-time or a full-time, you are operating a business. You need to treat it that way. That doesn't mean that You can't put the thank you cards in there. You can't do all the stuff that you love to do and cultivate relationship with customers. That's a win. That's 100. But you can't do the opposite. And you can't say, I hate customers. They scam me all the time. How come they're not buying?
How come they're not scamming me?
Yeah, it doesn't work that way. And there's so many out there that do that. This is their first time they've ever had a business. They still don't see themselves as having a business. And so what's the answer? It's to blame everybody else because there's no responsibility taken from anybody. I mean, this is the honest truth. I look at something, I know I can get it cheaper on eBay, but if I need it quickly, I order from Amazon. That's the way I look at things because I don't trust eBay sellers for the most part. So you will see some, and I enjoy looking at my feedback, and you'll see fast ship. You know, those people I will buy from all day, every day. You know, you'll see people that have a lot of feedback, arrived earlier than expected. You know, those are the people you want to buy from.
But you know, you got to think about it. How many issues do you have based on the number of sales that you have? Because in all of the time I've been selling on eBay, I only think of 2 situations that really was a hassle. And one of them was I sold a hard drive to this guy, and he used to live in Baltimore, and that's where I sent it to because that's what eBay had on record. But he now lives in like Wyoming. Well, he filed a complaint with eBay because it took him about a month to get it because it had to go to Baltimore, be turned around and sent back to me, and then I had to reship it back out after he had to pay for shipping again. He filed a complaint with eBay, and eBay's like sided with me. And the other time was I shipped an item out the same day I shipped it out it was going to like Texas. They filed a not as described complaint and wanted to return it.
Okay, so let's explain. So if you're a new seller and you've actually found this channel and I haven't scared you off yet,
we're sorry.
Man, that's awesome. You're tough. You're cut out to be in this business. So let's get some falsities through with eBay. There is no such term as no returns. There is no such thing as no returns. All you've got to do is put it as not as described. eBay will force you to take a return. Do we understand that? So go ahead and put a return policy that is friendly to customers. Because if you put no returns, I'll just describe it as no returns if I ever bought it from you in the first place. So don't limit the amount of people that will buy from you by being wrong. Okay, the second one, Lag just said that eBay is going to say they're going to do away with a block bidder list. The block bidder list is the biggest shit for you resellers that believe, because if I was on one of these box sites, Joni got pissed off, and a couple times we ordered bubble wrap and it was all squished, so they put me on their block list. So I just ordered it from her eBay account to the same address, or you log in as a guest. There is no such thing as a block bidder list. If somebody wants to buy from you, they just log in as a guest. Don't be stupid enough to think that I put them on the block bidder list. You did. It makes you feel good about yourself. Bless your heart. You know, having no returns makes you feel good about yourself. Bless your heart.
That's why I don't block anybody on any platform ever.
So only thing that no returns does is hurt your business, because there's so many people like me who see that and go, you know what? I'm not buying from you. I can't be the only one in the chat. Am I the only one? Am I the odd? Well, I am an oddball. I get that, but I can't be the only one that sees no returns and goes to the next seller.
So I just bought shoes on eBay, and the first thing I looked at was how fast am I going to get them? That's usually my number one thing.
There's a spider.
The second thing I looked at was their how good is their ratings on eBay? And this person, I believe, had 100%. I'm looking for it now. And the third thing I look at is if these shoes are wrong, how do I return them? So those are the top 3 things I look at. And if you don't have those 3 things, I'm not buying from you. But one of those things is bad. If the shipping time is way off, I'm not buying it.
So
that's the first thing I look at.
This is the problem when you don't treat this as a business, Noblesse D. I don't need sales, so I control it. It's a false sense of control. You know, if if a customer has a problem with something, I want them to understand that I'll work with them. Send me a message. And so if you've got a no return policy, you force them into going, it was not as described, and forcing a return on you. So here's a great story. I think I told it last week, or I told it on Tom's show. I had a customer on Amazon or eBay. It was on eBay, buy a Blu-ray player. I sent them the wrong damn Blu-ray player. They were ordering a 4K Blu-ray player, and I sent the wrong one. They're identical Sony players except for the model number, and I grabbed the wrong one. And so customer gets it and sends it back and says, I really wanted the 4K one. I'm like, I apologize. I'm like, hey, buddy, I'm sorry. Let me send this out to you, and I'll put a return label in and just send it back. He gets the other one and goes, so what will you take for this one? I'll just keep them both. Because I answered emails, which most people don't answer questions and emails because, they're scamming me. I was apologetic. I did what I said I was going to do. I uploaded the tracking the next day when I shipped it out. The customer got it, and he decided I got an extra sale out of it because I said I screwed up. I screwed up and got an extra sale because of the way he treats customers. Imagine that.
So here's if your name is Orlando Gifts on eBay, thank you for a very pleasant experience buying shoes. The shoes were cheap. They're brand new. They were cheaper than anybody else, number one. Not that would have been the only deciding factor for me. They had a 30-day free return policy where the seller pays shipping, I believe. Let me look at that real quick. Yeah, seller pays return shipping. And they shipped them out like next day. So I mean, it was a stellar experience. I haven't left them feedback yet, but if you are Orlando Gifts on eBay, thank you. It was worth it.
Scott, I gotta get it.
It was just a great positive experience all the way around.
Scott, I gotta get out of here. Before I go, if anybody is a new reseller, don't spend thousands of dollars for them courses and whatnot. Just sit down and listen to Scott. Just get you some drinks and sit down and listen to Scott's channel, because he will tell you everything you need to know. If you want a more concise version,
listen to me.
Yeah, listen to Steve. Scott does. I guess Scott still has a course out there that's reasonably priced. Huh?
It's mainly Amazon.
Oh, is that mainly Amazon?
Yeah, I don't push it. It's not the direction that.
Anyway, listen to Scott's channels. He's not going to BS you. He makes a living at it. Don't listen to things Harlan or Todd says. They'll shoot you a line of shit. So anyway, y'all have a great night.
And I just don't know what I'm doing. So
yes, Steve just plays. He's got plenty of money for that Ohio Bowl.
I wish that were the case.
Larry, that's 100% true. Even a no return seller has to give return.
Bye.
It'll be a hassle, so why bother? I agree. That's my thoughts exactly.
Well, I
can force it, but I don't want to have to go through the trouble whenever I would rather buy from a buyer friendly seller who is going to.
I think a lot of the time when you're buying something on eBay, 90% of the time when you have issues, it was partly your fault because you didn't check the seller rating, you didn't check the return policy, you didn't check the feedback that these people are getting. Because I see it in the forums all day long where I bought from this guy and they give the name and the guy's got a 89% feedback rating. Of course you're going to get screwed. So do your due diligence on the selling side, but also do it on the buying.
So Craig, I also taught you that you should give me a call and I'll just pay you a couple of dollars for them.
Did my camera cut out there or my?
No. All we have us three, and then we have Todd and a snoring dog.
Anyway, I think on both sides of we need to do our due diligence, and I have never had an issue buying from somebody on eBay ever, but I look into them fairly closely.
And for Mark is saying that his sales he's promoted. Mark, listen to everything I talked about at the very first beginning. There's way more to competing in this marketplace than just promoted. It's promoted, it's pricing, it's competition, it's amount of that item out there, it's sell through. You've got to do analysis of your items. Are you using sales? I keep a sale most of the time in my store. of some, and I don't do a Dusty sale. Dusty used to be the king of, I want $100 for it. I'm gonna put it for 20% off, so we put it at $120. I put it at whatever it is, and it's a true sale. And so if you want customers to buy things, they get a deal. I take offers on everything after the first 2 weeks, even if it's on sale. You know, a lot of people go, I can't believe you take an offer if it's on sale. Okay.
Those Dusty sales were outlawed for a few weeks there. Remember that?
Yeah.
Then they changed their mind.
Yes, I put it at 5% now again. What are you talking about? 5%? 5% sale or 5% promoted?
I still do a low promoted, but I'm not a full-time seller.
So 5%, if it's promoted, 5% promoted is better than none. But listen, if we're selling the same item, I'm ahead of you. Because I'm at dynamic +1. I'm ahead of you. Sorry.
With a cap, dynamic +1, and I'm sure you have a cap.
Oh, a coupon code. See, Mark, there's a difference between running a sale and a coupon code. A coupon code, most people don't look at the statistics of people who actually. I got the whole store on. I got the whole account on sale. Every listing's 15% off.
What's the odds of somebody coming back and buying something from you as a junk seller? You know, as an everything seller,
Yep.
with a coupon. I think the odds of that, unless you're selling a lot of the same thing.
See,
So
Mark,
I've never done a coupon code.
I said, that's the problem, Mark. You tell me you're promoted, you tell me you're doing this, but I've already told you in this show that I am at dynamic +1. That's probably 10%, so I am promoted ahead of you if we have the same items. I told you I put it on sale. I told you I'm competing. You're using a coupon code which has less. I don't know how many people use a coupon code, whereas you give the customer, if you want them to buy it, put a price out there that they know they're getting a deal. You know, use the systems that eBay. Don't just barely use them. If you're going to use them, freaking use them.
I felt like I got a deal on these shoes that I just bought. They had them on sale. I don't know if they were ever higher than that.
See, you just said something that's I was terrible at car sales. I tried it for 3 months. I sucked.
I did.
But the one thing I learned is from car sales is it's the same thing you can apply to eBay and Amazon or reselling online. If you've got to find the price in the middle where the customer is happy and feels they get a deal like Steve did with his shoes, and the seller is the same. There's a place in the middle where a little happy, little orgasmic place where the seller and buyer are both happy. And that's the sweet spot where you've got to be, and you've got to figure out how to get there, whether it's promoted, sales, price, whatever. And, just doing, I'm going to do it a little bit. You're not doing enough to make your customer excited about buying an item because you're either your costs are bad or your price are bad or something that's keeping you from competing for that customer.
I'll tell you, I looked at a bunch of these shoes. I didn't immediately pick this seller, but everything lined up with this seller. The good price, the 100% rating, good feedback. It doesn't have to be 100%. It just has to be good. The return policy, it all lined up. But there were other sellers selling these same shoes for $85 with no returns.
See, Mark, you're looking at this wrong, Mark. I feel that Mark puts on it. I feel that people think markdowns are fake, like Kohl's does that. No, the idea of putting your store on sale is not for the customer to see, oh, it's on sale. It's I have got it priced where I think the price is the sweet spot, where it sells most free. So if I've got an $80 item that sometimes it's sold for $80, sometimes it's sold for $85, sometimes $74, sometimes $100, I'll put it at $77, $78. Somewhere I'll put it on the lower end of medium. And if I put it 15% off, I know I'm down near the bottom of where it's sold. And so even if a customer doesn't have to look at it and search for a sale and go, a customer's going to see the overall price and go, well, I'd be damned, that's a good price.
Well, that's what it was with me. I know what these shoes cost.
It's not about how you feel. Take yourself out of it. You see it from the customer. You've got to bring it to a price where they'll buy it.
I know what these shoes cost. I knew I was getting a deal. When I saw the /through pricing, If it was a fake one, I would have identified that right away because I bought these shoes. These are the only shoes I like. You can't buy them in the stores anymore, so I buy them online. I bought them from Poshmark last time because everybody on eBay was way too high on their pricing. Poshmark, they were $54 or something like that. And this time I bought them from eBay. I got an even better deal, $47. But they're a discontinued shoe. That's going to run out after time. I know that. But I like these shoes. They're comfortable. But I'm still going to look for a bargain on them. And I'm still going to look for a good seller. But there's more than one factor in becoming having a good sale. It doesn't have to be just the sale price. It doesn't have to be just your feedback. It doesn't have to be just the return policy. It has to be a combination of a bunch of things.
It has to be all of it. And that's part of making your listing better than somebody else's. You know, how many people do the minimum amount you have to do for item specifics? How many times have I heard eBay, and it's all over videos and everything, about how they hate item specifics, and I don't want to build eBay's catalog up. But the one thing I can tell you is list on your phone and put in the item specifics. When you put each one you put in, it tells you that it includes you in this many more searches. So why would you not put in the maximum amount of information if eBay has told you that the people are searching this many searches for this item based on this? Why would you not fill out every single number that you know to get them? Oh, but my stuff is not showing up in search. And I got one item specific, or this eBay doesn't require anything in this category. I didn't put any in. People wear that as a badge of honor that they put in the least amount of item specifics they can because they got one over on eBay. And in actuality, you're screwing yourself.
Yeah, and I bet you my store, I would sell a lot more if I filled those out. I'm lazy when it comes to listing. Most of that stuff is filled out already, but I don't do any additional. So I need to start doing that when I get back into full time.
But it's getting much. The landscape of reselling is getting more difficult. The competition is fierce out there, and if you're not using all this, it's a combination of how do you make your listing the best listing.
Mr. Sadie and I wear the same shoes. They are. I went to the Nike store, or one of those mall stores with Nike shoes in it, and I tried them on. I'm like, wow, this is like walking on a cloud. And so ever since then, I used to wear New Balance, and these ones, boy, they're Nike Air Defy is what they are.
Yeah, I got made fun of by Johnny and Jacob for wearing old man New Balance shoes, so I buy anything else but old man shoes.
Well, I like my New Balance. The issue with the New Balance over the Nikes is that they break down faster. I buy one pair of shoes a year. I need a pair of shoes that's going to last a year.
Harlan got divorced and lost his ability to wear those shoes. That's a true story.
My sister-in-law called me in and said, Harlan, we got to have a talk. No more old man white New Balance shoes. So
I found out, though, that I wear the old man uniform. I had white New Balance shoes, white socks that only come up, so far, jean shorts, and a T-shirt. Apparently, that's the new old man outfit. I'm right there, except for the New Balance right now. I switched I have a 1/2-inch lift in one of my shoes. So I switched to New Balance because they could actually permanently put the lift in by sawing the bottom of the shoe. But these ones, I just put a lift inside.
Sometimes there has to be a hard conversation, and let me have this one with you, Mark. You don't want this bad enough. Mark, your girlfriend, you said you're having trouble paying your bills. Your girlfriend said get a job. Listen to your girlfriend. You're complaining about you can't go to the bins to get the cheaper merchandise because you pay up for merchandise because it's an hour drive. It's an hour drive. You're not willing to listen to me as I tell you over and over how to compete to make your listings better. This is not important enough to you to where you would learn and compete and do this. You're the kind of person, Mark, I've never met you before in my life, but I've dealt with and talked with you enough in the chat to know that just go ahead and put an application in. You need a job. But somebody has to be the one to tell you what you don't want to hear. Your girlfriend.
I like Mark. It's over an hour drive.
Mark's a nice guy. He comes across very nice in that chat, but he needs a job. He's not willing to do what it takes. He needs a job.
Go do some gig economy work.
Not everybody is cut out to be an entrepreneur. Not everybody is cut out to do exactly what they've got to do. Some people need a job.
We drove an hour and a half to the bin stores when we were starting to struggle just to get merchandise because, it's the time of year. There was no yard sale. We drove an hour and a half once a week to the bin stores. We could have done it every day. because we knew that was the only way that was our business was going to stay going. You have to make commitments like that, and it's hard.
But,
doing gig economy work sucks, but it's the commitment I've made until.
There's also nothing wrong with working 8 hours and going home and putting in 5 on your business. I mean, how bad do you want it? I mean, my job, I don't need to resell. I don't need the money, but that's retirement savings, do whatever I want to type money. I try not to spend any of it, but that's the way I could do it full time if I wanted to, but my job and my benefits and stuff is I can't leave that. And, but I love to resell. So I'll do my, 7 or 8 hours here and then go home and work on my eBay or my auction stuff for, 3, 4, 5 hours, whatever I want to do a day.
And for me, I mean, reselling for that moment wasn't working out for me. I still resell, but I found that I could make money daily doing something different. Sometimes we got to make those hard choices. Man, I'd love to be going to yard sales. Still, I haven't been able to go all year. But sometimes the hard decision is to do something different for a while. Now I'll be back into reselling probably, by next summer, but full time. But to get past this hiccup that we had to do something different. You can't just keep. I said it earlier. You can't keep doing the same thing and expect different results. It's not going to work. And that's what we were doing, the same thing and hoping for different results, and it didn't work because we didn't change. We weren't fluid in our business. Even though I preach that, I say it all the time: be fluid in your business. I wasn't. I kept trying to do the same things over and over, and eventually it got us in a big hole.
Yeah, Steve said the same thing. He's, works his jobs, reselling part-time, loves it. To me, it keeps reselling it keeps it fun. I mean, I don't have to do it, but I love getting out and finding stuff.
Yeah.
Went to Nashville this weekend, hung out with my buddies at the flea market, did Nashville yard sales all morning, found spectacular stuff. And I don't know, it's fun.
I have to agree with you there because a lot of the fun went out of it when we started struggling. And it's because we're working so hard to do something. It became more of a job than it did what we wanted it to be, which was fun. Even you have to treat it as a job. You have to if you're doing it full time. But it doesn't have to feel like a job. But we made it like a job. And it just got to be too much. And we struggled because now we're not enjoying what we're doing and maybe not making the purchases we would have. And so now we have to have a job, even though it's not a real job, until we get back on our feet, and it'll be fun again and we'll enjoy it. We're already talking about it. We miss it. So I missed it so much the other day. I went to a Goodwill and a Salvation Army and I scanned everything on the shelves at Walmart while I was waiting. It felt nice to be able to do that again.
They said you got a Fetterman outfit on. That's you look like Fetterman.
Hey, well, I grew up in Pennsylvania. Oh no, my clothes actually fit. Did you see that outfit he wore? How the fuck do you show up? And I don't care. I'm all about wearing. I don't care if he wore the hoodie that he normally wears, but that mechanic's outfit he wore. Why do you show up to Congress? And I don't even know what party. I think he's a Democrat, but who cares? You don't show up to Congress looking like that. I'm sorry. Even on Casual Friday, if I had a real job, so let's say I worked at Target, and they let me dress up for Casual Friday, and I showed up looking like that, I think they'd make me go home and change my clothes. You just don't. You look like a filthy animal. You look like you just don't care. At least wear clothes that fit. I don't care what you wear clothes that fit.
But and I think, as you know, a lot of people see that as a negative, and it's not meant to be towards Mark. It's not meant to be a negative. It's
or even a negative towards Mark.
Steve and Marsha made the same decision. They made the decision that they needed to 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 pay the bills. They needed to get a steady income. They needed to, step back from reselling full time in order to put themselves out of the hole they're in, back to get back to where they want to be. And so that, I know he's not commenting anymore, which he's, if you want to subscribe,
well, we've said a lot of things. We've said a lot of things to Mark in the past. He'll stick around.
But it's just it truly is tough love. It's nobody. I care enough about you, and I care enough about this. But do I think you're a bad reseller? No, but I don't think that you're willing to see this as a business, and you're not willing to do the things. You got to compete, and if you're not going to compete out here, you're going to continue to struggle. You're going to find excuses over and over. How many times in the last few weeks, Harlan, have we said, "Oh my God, we almost talked ourselves out of not going to this yard sale because there's only 2 or 3 on a Friday," and we fill the van up.
It had the van full by the first hour or two. One weekend we had to both go back with our trucks.
Yeah, we're like, well, I can't believe we almost didn't put in a couple hours effort. I mean,
all it takes is one good sale. That one week that we were not going to go, we pulled up, and first thing we saw was good stuff, 50 cents. It's like, okay, this is going to be a good one. So we bought all the small stuff, made our pile. Scott got a weed eater that was on wheels. It wasn't a DR Horton. It was not a DR Horton.
It was Craftsman's version of a DR trimmer. It was Craftsman's version of that DR.
$5. You ended up selling that for $85 at the auction. He had to go back and get that. He had to get two tall cabinets, 2 short cabinets. I think you paid, was it 10, 20, 30, $35 for all that, and it sold for almost $300 at auction. But he had to go back and get that. That same one, I went back and picked up a box spring, still wrapped in the plastic, a queen size, $3. And then I went.
Is that who I think it is?
Oh, Shane, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so Shane's another good example. Ask Shane if he sells. Shane and we're both big Amazon sellers. I'm going to have my lowest Amazon sales year since 2015, my second year doing this, because I pushed back in. I've already sold more on eBay than I did last year. I've made a decision that I don't like Amazon as much, so I'm backing off of it. I've got a YouTube channel that you see all these people who are make because I'll tell you what I think about politics, because I'll tell you the freaking truth no matter what. People don't want to hear that. So I've shot my own self in the foot with a YouTube channel from growing. There's a reason why I've been stuck at the same thing for 3 years. I don't make the Amazon content anymore because I felt it hurt people. I felt that it hurt people to tell them what I bought, because they would get stuck with the merchandise because they didn't understand how to sell it.
That is true. Yeah.
My own detriment, because I could have had a YouTube channel that had more views. There's people out there that still show you what they buy on Amazon, and people have no clue. They run out and buy it. I think that hurts. I made that decision. So not just because you see others that are full time, there's pivots that go on behind the scene. You've got to figure out what works for you, and then you've got to do everything you can to go for it. Amazon, Larry, absolutely. I can't tell you how many times Dusty and I had that conversation. We had opposing views on where Amazon was going and what they were going to do.
And I couldn't understand why Dusty quit doing Amazon. I do now.
I do now. I can understand it, but I was too stubborn not to see. And well, also too, he'll tell you the same thing that I'll tell you right now. I enjoy eBay more than I enjoy Amazon. There is no joy in Mudville at Amazon. There just isn't. You see a large corporation that doesn't care. eBay's the same way for the most part, but you have a relationship with customers, and you're much more free to talk about and discuss what you do with eBay, because if I tell you I bought a Sony camera, I'm not killing the Sony camera market.
No. By the way, I got to say, baseball is late, but he's still ragging on us for being late. How is that even a thing? And Mark, I wanted to say one more thing to Mark. If you enjoy doing eBay, keep keep doing it. But you also got to think of, okay, maybe I got to do something to supplement this income as well. If you're having good weeks and bad weeks, we all do. But if your bad weeks are really bad, maybe you ought to think of do some gig work or something. Go out and deliver DoorDash for a while. Do something.
This was scary. Amazon FBA, Amazon Merchant Fulfilled. On Monday, I had 55 to ship. 30 were eBay, 25 were Amazon. eBay, I had more to ship, and that never happens. So you've got to figure out what you want, and then you've got to go for. There's no right, there's no wrong, there's just your way to build this business. There's no right or no wrong, and the wrong way I can tell you is if you decide it is eBay and then don't use all their systems and don't compete, and then bitch that you don't have sales, and until you've exhausted everything and done it, to the max and put in maximum. You got to get out maximum results. You got to put in maximum effort. I can tell you that.
Charles, it's not exactly the gig work I was speaking of, but if it makes you happy, go for it. I think a lot of it, if we're self-employed, if we're working for ourselves, part of it is you got to do things that make you happy, but you also got to do things that make you money, right? And for me right now, the reselling makes me money, but it's not my main gig. The gig economy stuff, the Walmart delivery.
Shane's giving you the secret right there. If he has bad weeks, he hits up his truck stop. Man whore. There you go.
I will be in Vegas
really
for 7 days. So
all right, good to see you back, Shane.
I could pay for my trip.
It's been a while.
That's why Shane lost all that weight. He his backup job's a man whore. But so as I left here for a few minutes, I had to run inside and use the restroom. But one thing I can tell you, you got to treat this like a diet. There's a lot of the similarities between reselling and running a business and a diet. The diet will, you can do things temporarily to lose weight, but until you change your mindset and change the lifestyle, you can be successful reselling as a hobby and everything. But if you really want to maintain it and take it to the next level, it's got to be a business. If you want to maintain a diet, it's got to be a lifestyle change forever, not just something temporary. Because what happens with diets when you quit playing diet? If you didn't teach yourself to eat right, you gain it all back, and your body goes, let's add a little more on because in case you do that again. The same thing happens with reselling. You can do okay for a little bit, but as you just kind of mosey along, happy-go-lucky, and are not competing and you're slowly falling behind and you don't feel it because, well, these sales are okay. They're going to pick up next week. And you never do any of the analysis. You never do any of the stuff. It's a slow fade. And then all of a sudden you'll wake up one morning and go, holy crap, now what do I do?
Purple llamas.
That's true. Shane says he sat here and straight up thought about getting a job. It'd be easier. Oh,
I have. Yep. I'm not going to lie to you. When we were struggling there a few months back, really struggling, the first thing that came to my mind is to get a job. Now, I worked my way around that by, doing DoorDash and Walmart, things like that. So I don't have to get a real job because I don't want a real job. Who
Mark
does?
said he thought Mr. Sadie is the same as Harlan. Mr. Sadie is not Harlan.
I was watching the guys who
ask Mr. Sadie how many hours a week he works. Don't buy purple llamas. I can tell you one thing about purple llamas. They taught me a valuable lesson. That's the other thing is if you change your mindset to understand it. So you can love or hate Alabama. There's a lot of people who say our demise is evident and Saban should retire. I can tell you one thing. That man is a master motivator and is extraordinarily smart. And what did he say after Texas? I heard him say it four different interviews. He said, don't waste don't waste a negative, don't waste a loss, don't waste an opportunity. And that llama back there, every time I look at the llama, it reminds me of the decisions I made in analyzing the product and where I went wrong to not make. That's why I keep the llama. He entertains you guys as well. So there's that. But the llama is a stark reminder of where I went wrong that year, and to understand the analysis and to get more information. RG. Can't you be happy that y'all not going to have a losing record this year? Can't you be happy that the Independence Bowl is going to welcome you back to Shreveport or wherever that is, and y'all are going to be a happy fan base back at the Independence Bowl? Cluck, more chicken. All right, we only got like 5 minutes left.
This is true. Mr. said he plays poker. Harlan is just a player.
Okay, so Mark says I buy printers all day, but sometimes the ink is dried up inside. Harlan, what do I tell you about a printer when it doesn't have any ink in it? What do I do?
Buy ink.
Buy ink. So understand that if you've got a inkjet printer, it's got the little cartridges that have got the gold on the back of them. That is the print head for that printer. So the only thing wrong with that printer is if it's not printing is the ink is dried up. Put no ink in it, you're actually replacing your print head. It is very hard to kill those printers. You know, the other printers that have got the individual tanks that you slide the tank in, Canon uses those a lot, so HP does a little bit. Those have the print head inside them. Those can be messed up, those can be problems. But as long as you know what you're buying, it's if the ink's dried up, buy generic ink on eBay. That's the last time I screwed up. I did not blame. I ordered 2 blacks instead of a color and a black on one of them. I didn't blame that seller for first thing I checked was, what did I order? Oh shit, I ordered the 2 blacks. I didn't send the seller a nasty message saying, hey, you sent the wrong stuff. I eliminated me first. I made a mistake. And so I ordered again, same seller, because they were fast to get it here. But I buy ink for every. I don't ship out a printer that I didn't put ink in it. How do you test it? I put ink in all of them.
Same here. I don't do a lot of printers, but the first thing I think of is, okay, let's check this ink. But I've always bought ink. It's always generic ink, unless some of the HPs
generic ink.
Generic, but
okay, so here's one. You can put real ink in there. There are a lot of sellers on eBay that will sell it in the little black bags like they used to do on Amazon until Amazon outlawed it.
Yeah.
Because they don't expire. Let's give me a break. They don't expire. I buy the real ink that are in the bags. They're generally cheaper.
I have sold ink from 2012. I've only ever had one say that it was dried up when they got it. It was all sealed, but it was still, they say, now whether they were telling me the truth or not, I don't know. They did send it back, but how do I know that it wasn't their used cartridges? I just threw it out. But
yeah, so there you go, Mark. Ink is usually expensive. I sell it and put no ink in it then. So whose printer are they going to buy? Are they going to buy my printer that I've promoted to them or use pay-per-click that I have accurately described, that I have tested, and that are getting ink in it with a page count? Or are they going to get yours? They don't know whether it works or not because you never put ink in it to begin with.
Do everything you can do to make that buyer comfortable with the sale. That's really the whole. There's no secret. If it takes buying $12 ink or whatever ink costs for generic ink to make a $200 printer work, buy the daggone ink. If you have whatever this thing is, Kindle, Amazon, whatever. If it needs a cord, buy the doggone cord. You can buy a generic cord for that thing. Now, not that this is worth anything. It's not. Yeah, and I do it for $70 printers. Yes.
I don't buy $70
ink. Well, yeah. But what I'm saying is, if you're selling it,
there's no way on God's green earth that I would buy a $70 printer and not test it to make sure it works. Because if I bought it for $70, I'm gonna sell it for $500, and there's no way that I'm gonna.
I think he means if it sells for $70.
If it sells for 70, I didn't buy
You
that
still got
printer.
to test it. I test everything. If you're buying it
If
to
it doesn't sell
resell,
for
you
$100,
got to test it.
if it doesn't sell for $100, I don't buy it.
I might buy a $70 printer depending on what it is, but I would still first. I'd probably like to know what the ink costs for that thing. So I'm going to quickly look up ink while I'm out there buying it. But yes, if you're going to sell it, you need to make it sellable. And if you're selling it without ink or untested, you have to sell it without ink or untested. And it's going to give your buyer, even though it's cheap, a lot less confidence. So you got to do what you got to do.
Mark, if I picked up a $5 printer and it was going to sell for 70, I would put ink in it. It's part of the deal.
You're right. You can't test them at yard sales usually. That's when you take a gamble on a $5 printer, if that's what you want to do. And if it's what you're out $5, if you get it home and it doesn't work, you throw it in the trash or you part it out if you can.
All right. So we're at my break. 10 o'clock. So
don't redonate it because that would make me angry.
I'm gonna give you a roll tide right now, but I'm gonna sum up. So I'm gonna sum up the whole show, and the last half of the show. How what makes you a better seller? I want you to go to the good book where it says, "Do unto others as you would have them do unto you." If you treat your business that way, whereas if I'm selling a printer, and how do I want to get the printer? If you treat that customer like you would want to receive that product, it means that you shipped it great, you tested it, you described it accurately, you do you price it correctly for a good deal for you and them. If you do all the things that you would want to happen to you, you don't lose as a seller. Roll Tide.
Sweetwater out.